Welcome members to another weekly update of looking over my shoulder. Hopefully by now you've received the invitation for this year's live event I hope to see you at. If not, let me know, but you should have received one. Even though you're a member, remember it doesn't include live events, and there's a special deal for existing 99 Club members, which is you only have to appear for the bits that you want, perhaps the more advanced section on the Sunday if you like, where you'll get a chance to catch up on my very latest findings and my views for the long term ahead. So let's just on that note, I just want to show you this chart of JC Penney, and the system I'm going to be explaining to you on the live event is here. My system said to sell or options, or buy the put options if you like, but basically bet that JC Penney was going to go down on the 11th of May. And the very next day, the price just absolutely crashes like that, which on options was an overnight 30% gain. And these are very consistent now. I'm seeing like a 70-80% strike rate with 30 to 50% gains within 24 hours. So it's very exciting. Meanwhile, let's catch up on some of the individual trades that are going on. TTPH. Quite pleased with the action here. It's slowed down a little bit and just rose up nicely. And on the weekly chart, we can see here that TTPH has done very well, and it's really just waiting for its long-term averages to catch up. So very pleased with that action. Let's look at my mom trade, YCS. We had good news. It kept on climbing high, but then it did this little pullback here, which is fine. Mom just needs to learn that stocks don't go up in straight lines. So there's the downwards trend that the YCS was in previously, and as I explained last week, it was just bouncing around it here, and then eventually it climbed out of it. And then after this little breakout, there's nothing wrong with a little pullback around there. I mean, sure, it would have been nice if it just kept on climbing higher, but hey, this is fine. The trade's in profit because we were in down around there, I think. So that one's just chugging along very nicely indeed. I'm still hoping to ride this up like 1,000 points. So all going according to plan there. Let's look at. There's a couple other trades. Let's look at my notes here. Now, again, I'm thinking it out here. These are just stocks I've been looking at this last week. So let's check on these. So this is UNB, and you can probably see straight away why I like this one. It's doing my classic favourite thing. Upwards rise. This is the weekly chart, obviously, and look at that beautiful sideways support there, colliding right now with this rising moving average. We've got a precedent of this happening. I did it before there and carried on. So let's look at on the daily here. I'm hoping this could be right at the ideal entry point. This is great support. I'd be happy to get in around 40, 41. This is one that we just don't want to get below the 200-day on, so that's pretty decent. Let's also look at TMK. Same thing going on here, only a much more aggressive climb on this one. We've got a good boxy action here. Support looks to be around 75. It's a very aggressive ascent there, and it could just be about to bounce off of it. TMK on the daily looks like this. Great. There's that very clean line of previous resistance, new support around 75. So there's a nice entry point around there. I'd be happy to get in there around 75. A stock like this, climbing high like that, may not ever get down as to touching the moving average like that. I would consider this one to be failed at just below 74. So those two stocks are great entry points right now, and liking those. So let's check on a few other little things here. Obviously, the overall market just keeps chugging higher, so I'm going to short that right now. Let's look at maybe gold. Tried to break out again, failed again. Which I must add, right? Just to the whole market is levitating right now on this so-called Trump reflation thesis. Okay. And, listen, I think Trump's pro-business, great, all the rest of it. But as soon as this whole thesis started, I thought straight away it was just, nonsense. Because it was, we haven't even seen anything yet, But anyway, you can't argue with what the market's doing. But getting increasingly skeptical, not just because it's been 6 months without even a healthy correction, but because this whole thing about this reflation, right? If that's the case, then why isn't gold flying? Why? Let's look at copper, right? Why is copper? Well, actually, copper isn't doing too bad, but there are other. Copper could just be on the verge actually. That's not a bad entry point there. Just looking at the commodities, that's interesting. But there are other things going on here that look, if all is well and there's this big huge reflation thing, then why aren't other things coming together? Silver is used in just about every industrial thing there is. It's not just a precious metal. It's used in pretty much making everything from mirrors to semiconductors. And why does it look like that? There's a lot of nonsense here that things just aren't adding up. And I think the Trump reflation thesis is basically just borrowed from the future, as if we hadn't already borrowed from the future. Valuations are at ridiculous levels. Things just aren't holding together. I'm convinced that the market had convinced itself that Hillary was going to win in October, and they'd placed lots of long bets. This rally was going to happen, whoever won, and they had to come up with some thesis as to why to justify it, and it was nonsense. And here it is now, and it's got a touch of 1987 about it, which was a rally which really got way ahead of itself and too far extended above its 40-week, and then it happened pretty fast. But I've got my finger on the pulse there. Don't worry about that. Just thinking aloud as usual, giving you my 2 cents. Let's look at some currencies. I know there's a lot of interest in the pound, of course, and hanging in nicely there. As I said, it did this nice breakout, and now it's holding its ground well above the 200-day. So that doesn't look like a phony breakout just yet. Things could be steadily turning around for the pound. Other ones. Well, we already know about the yen because I'm trading that. We're shorting that. And the other ones we look at, the Australian dollar. Again, that's not doing that not well. And the euro, again, both lagging. Euro's looking like an interesting short, but maybe not just yet. Remember, all currency pairs are against the dollar, so if we're looking at the yen going down and so on and things like that, that means the dollar should be going up. And the dollar going up is usually associated with uncertainty and a correction. So just a few thoughts there to think on, and I'll speak to you next time. And don't forget to get your application in as soon as possible so that you can save, get the early bird discount. Speak to you then. Bye.